Alright, now we're on to Chapter 3. Some of the objectives for Chapter 3 are we're going to solve linear equations systematically, okay, meaning we're going to solve for x by using different systems, different ways to solve for x. We're going to use ratios, rates, and percents, and those are some of the objectives of Chapter 3. Mostly we're going to be solving linear equations. Alright, so 3.1 key terms. The first key term is equivalent equations. The second term is transforming equations. Third, inverse operations. And the fourth is a linear equation. Alright, equivalent equations is when two equations or one equation is equal on both sides. Okay, so 3x equals 12. Alright, so we know that 3x equals 12. 3x is the same thing as 12. Alright. Transforming equations. With transforming equations, we're going to do stuff to different equations in order to solve for a variable. Alright, like this equation, and what we're going to learn about this equation here, 3x equals 12, is that we're going to be able to divide 3 on both sides in order to solve for x. Inverse operations. Inverse operations are the opposite. So the inverse of addition, the inverse operation of addition is subtraction. Alright, and the inverse of subtraction is addition. The inverse of multiplication is division. And the inverse of division is multiplication. Okay, and then a linear equation is just any equation that can't form a line. Alright, similar to this one here. Alright, so when we're solving for equations, we have to stay balanced. Okay, meaning this, we have to, whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So I have this scale here to show you the first representation for the first equation we're going to solve. X plus 2 equals 7. So an equation is something like a scale. Alright, and here's our scale here, okay, where we have the same thing on both sides. And in an equation, we have the same thing on both sides. So we have this thing x, and then we have two things here, 1, 2. Alright, but we also have on the other side we have 7. So 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and that keeps our scale balanced somehow, because we know x plus 2 equals 7. Well, if I want to figure out what the heck x is, okay, I have to get it by itself. What is x? I have to get it by itself. So what I'm going to do is if I take off 2 of these blocks, okay, if I just pull them out, erase them, and on your paper you could just cross them out, okay, I'm left with x on this side. But what happens to our scale is this side is going to get pulled down because it's going to be heavier. So since I erased 2 dots on the left side, I'm going to erase 2, not dots, dashes on the other side. Okay, that way our scale is balanced. Alright, so now I just have x over here, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dashes on the other side. So what that means is x is going to equal 5. Alright, now what I do to figure that out is I subtracted 2 over here and I subtracted 2 over here. Okay, mathematically it's like subtracting 2 on both sides as well. So I subtracted 2 over here, that got rid of that 2, I was left with x, and then I did on the other side of the equation, okay, sides meaning here's one side, here's the other side. Alright, it's split by the equal sign. I subtracted 2 as well. So 7 minus 2 and then I got 5. Alright, let's look at this more algebraically. Alright, and what we did on the previous problems, we used inverses to solve. Okay, it was plus 2 on our previous problem, so we subtracted 2. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to use inverses to solve each equation. In our first equation, I have x minus 6 equals 12, so I'm going to use the inverse of minus 6 to get rid of it and just get x by itself. So I'm going to add 6, and I'm going to add 6. Okay, some books you might see add 6 written horizontally. You could do that, but I like to go vertically. That way you can say, alright, I'm canceling this out because I did the inverse operation. X equals 18. Okay, and now what we're going to do, and what you should do, is check to see if your result is correct. I know the value for x is 18, so now I'm going to go back to my equation, and instead of writing x, I'm going to write 18, and check to see if I did it correctly. 18 minus 6 is 12, 12 equals 12, I'm good. Alright, next problem, I have negative 5 equals n minus negative 6. Okay, well, first thing we have to do is simplify this a little bit because we have a little work right here. Alright, what we learned is when we have two negatives next to each other, or two negative signs or two subtraction signs next to each other, it's addition. So I'm going to fix this equation up first, simplify it a little bit before I continue. Right, now I want to solve for n, so I have to get rid of this plus 6 right here. And in order to get rid of something that's addition, we have to use the inverse, okay, subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 6 in order to get rid of it, and I'm left with n equals negative 11. Well, let's check this one out to make sure we did it correctly. The original equation was negative 5 equals n minus negative 6. And we got negative 11 for n, so let's plug in the value, negative 11 for n. Write the rest of it out. Simplify here. Okay, negative 11 plus 6. Remember, different signs. We find the difference, meaning subtract, and take the sign of the bigger number. Negative 5 equals negative 5. Alright, a couple more examples to help you guys out. Number 1, we're not going to check these. Number 1, we have negative 3 equals x minus 5. Well, we got to get rid of this here, this minus 5, so we add 5. Since we add 5 to one side, we have to add 5 to the other side, just like the scale. Alright, and we get x equals negative 3 plus 5. Alright, remember, different signs, we find the difference between the numbers and take the sign of the bigger number, which is 5 in this case, so it's positive 2. So we get x equals 2. Number 2, simplify first. X plus 7 equals 3. Now we're going to do the opposite operation, minus 7, x equals 3 minus 7, different signs, positive 3, negative 7. So we have 7 minus 3, find the difference, take the sign of the bigger number, and we get negative 4. Number 3, negative 5 equals x plus 12. Alright, we have plus 12, so we're going to subtract 12. Subtract 12. This cancels out. Bring down the x. Bring down the equal sign. Now we have negative 5 and negative 12. Same sign. Alright, they're both negative. So we're going to combine the numbers and then take the sign. They're both negative, so my answer is going to be negative. 5 plus 12 is 17, so my answer is going to be negative 17. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If not, go on to the practice problems, which are in your textbook, page 135, 20 to 38 even.